The late Senator Orrin Hatch once referred to the IRS as the most feared federal agency in the country. Thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, the same IRS will be the recipient of $80 billion in new funding, enough money to double the size of the agency over the next decade. Democrats, of course, insist that the money will not translate into more audits for middle and lower income taxpayers. But speculation is growing that, in fact, they will face more scrutiny by the IRS. Now, a former IRS insider who was terminated after making public allegations of IRS wrongdoing is issuing a dire warning. In a recent interview with Fox Business, William Henk, an IRS attorney for 30 years before he was let go in 2017, said that the IRS will go after people with enough money to be targets, but not enough money to hire a Washington lobbyist. The White House has insisted that the only Americans who should expect closer tax inspections are wealthy corporate tax cheats. America's reliable friend, Secretary Treasury Janet Yellen, has directed the IRS commissioner not to use the money to increase the audit rate on taxpayers earning less than $400,000 per year. However, William Henk rejected those assurances in no uncertain terms, saying the idea that they're going to open things up and go after these big billionaires and large corporations is, quite frankly, bull. It's not going to happen. Later, Henk added that there will be considerable incentive to basically shake down taxpayers. And the advantage the IRS has is they have basically unlimited resources and no accountability. Let's be honest. It's not as though the Democrats have done a good job of putting the concerns of the middle-class taxpayer to rest. They keep saying that taxpayers earning less than $400,000 will not be at increased audit risk from the new funding. But when Senate Republicans proposed an amendment to the Inflation Reduction Act that would have guaranteed it, Democrats voted it down. There's also a bit of troubling news. The Congressional Budget Office said that if the amendment had passed, it would have reduced tax revenues by $20 billion over the next 10-year period. That conclusion directly contradicts the Democrats' claim that taxpayers earning less than $400,000 will not be subject to increased audits and enforcement efforts under the new law. Perhaps even more disconcerting is the assessment by Congress's own Joint Committee on Taxation. Between 78% and 90% of the additional $200 billion the IRS is expected to collect from the new legislation will come from small businesses that earn less than $200,000 per year. In a recent memo to the IRS Commissioner Charles Reddick, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen wrote, "The Inflation Reduction Act provides the IRS what it has needed for years, a stable stream of mandatory funding that will allow the agency to serve American taxpayers the way they deserve." As a final thought, my Harvard cohorts and I were discussing, with the Democrats spending $80 billion and doubling their workforce, why not put $5 billion into an AI machine learning software, which would be the most expensive software in history, which would only red flag those who truly deserve to be audited, rather than a workforce going after everyone indiscriminately. What the Democrats fail to realize is what the American taxpayer truly deserves is to pay less taxes. Until next time.
Hey guys, Joe Montana here with my man Devlin Steele. He and his team at Augusta Precious Metals are constantly putting out new information to keep you ahead of the game. Click subscribe now and hit the notification bell to stay up to date. You'll be glad you did.